Let's start. I would say, do you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. Welcome to the Foundational Infrastructure Working Group on 10th of August. So we have our usual agenda. We will go over the board and then discuss any other topics. On the board, we have so the first one is about Azure Storage Account. So we merged everything here. This is about the documentation.
Yeah, and Ruben wanted to have some release version mentioned in the docs.
Yes.
But hi. But there is still no release, nor he answered what the next release version will be.
You just say his name like 3 times and he pops in a meeting.
Yeah, the question would be, it would be a minor version update or a patch version or major version. I do not know.
Is it a breaking change?
It's adding a new feature, but no breaking change.
For me, it would be minor version, right?
The other question is how we want to sell it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I would say at least another minor version, because we deliver some features.
Yeah, I think according to Semver, we don't have to per se, but I mean, I'm fine with that. Or Joseph, do we have issues with that? I don't think so, right?
No.
Fine.
And we bumped the major 277 times. It's not like we're on version 1 here and it's gonna be, oh no, it's a major bump. So I think major or minor is fine. Patch would be a little bit awkward as far as just like the notes. It's like this specific patch version is the first one with this feature.
Yeah.
Honestly, whatever they want in the docs, we can just click it's like 2 buttons. There's like 3 buttons we click. Do we want major, minor, or patch?
Yeah, but like if you want major, then we're gonna need a blog post, right? Like announcing this thing, and it needs to be really big.
We also have prepared an Instagram story.
Okay, yeah, that justifies it. Okay, yeah. So if marketing can sign off on this, then it's fine.
Yeah, how you can put your Bob into Azure Storage.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yep.
If we have the option about a major version bump, I will default it.
Yeah, me as well. Better readable.
Yeah.
So it would be 278.0.0.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, we have a decision here. I can put. Yeah.
There already a story to cut a new director release?
I don't think we have anything in flight right now. We can do it whenever.
Okay.
So we are kind of waiting for it, right? Because we want to integrate it into our installation. So if it's not taking another 2 weeks, that would be cool.
Is everything merged already? I can Click the button.
Accept this documentation. Yeah.
And about on the pipeline side, so you didn't see anything failing? Or...
About the auto-bopping stuff, we have already checked the commits created by the CI bot, and they are all successful.
Yeah, the only thing that failed this morning was like our CI is a bit flaky sometimes, but it's probably a resource issue.
And we have integration tests here in place.
On our CI, we've seen some flakes lately on integration tests, but doesn't seem like it's related to this. Doesn't seem like it should be related to anything that's gone in recently. It's just been a little more flaky lately. I don't know if that's our CI or what, but yeah, there's a minor bump of Postgres going through this morning. When that finishes, I can bump the major and ship it.
Great, thank you, Joseph. And we merged the PR after it's released. So
yeah, I will create another commit on it and we can merge it.
Let me open it. Okay, this one we don't need to discuss. Then the next one would be fixed TLS verification with multiple CPI configs. Joseph provided here review. Okay, this is still in discussion, ongoing. Okay, this is
stale for a very long time. Remove E6. No, no one is responding.
No, this is yeah, the two repositories here. We want to move to another working group, but
yes.
the PR is still open.
That's still ongoing. They were going to move it out of draft, I think. That was yesterday, so
it's not draft anymore. Yeah,
it seems they moved it. So yeah, multiple people have tested this. Basically, one of us can try it if they're using VirtualBox ever. Yeah, Tint. Do the VirtualBox also, assign it also to me.
I'm in vacation for the next 3 weeks now. Maybe I'm the wrong one, but yeah.
I can take all them. Contribution coming from us. Next one would be then the documentation around how to test agent changes. So
yeah, this was about the Seagox, right?
yeah, and tried out on his MacBook. So the discussion was whether we need this or not.
Yeah, at least Ansh needs it.
Yeah.
And leave it in the docs. And it's weird, but
Is it now? What is the current state here? Is it mentioned? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We have 2 reviews. One comment that
enough,
is
right?
needed. Sorry.
I think it's
We
enough,
can
right?
merge them. Yeah. Yeah. We can merge them. Okay. This is the PR about the new strategy or trigger for variable updates. We need reviews here.
Can you also assign the reviewers, or are they...
Matthias again. You're
Too sad.
if it keeps happening, you can also update the the team. You can take people out of the rotation.
Yeah. I'm also on location. Is someone volunteering to review this? Oh, I can try again to assign and see what happens. I need to take that.
No, I need to do the other one.
Let's try again.
That worked. Now you just throw Aram back on there.
Maybe
we
we can.
We can just say, Matthias, I don't know what your vacation plan was, but okay.
Yeah. GitHub has said no.
Yeah. I don't know.
I would just, I mean, it picked Aram the first time and Chris the second time. You could just put both of them on.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to stick like that. Okay.
I feel like Bayon has favorites. It just didn't feel random.
Yes. Can be. And it's about the documentation of the future. Oh, Matthias, we already.
Yeah, I asked the same question as Ruben is always asking. Don't we need to document the version?
I assume you have an automation for this now. Doc PR. Was everything else fine, or you just checked about the? Should I leave you as review here? Just
if they are quick enough, yes. But I mean, I'm not blocking it, right? I'm not requesting change. So
yeah, we have also Kuni and Won here. Yeah.
Matthias, I've taken Matthias out of the rotation. So like in the team settings, you can take people out of like the assignments. So if you're back from vacation, we have to remember to put you back in.
I'll tell you. Yeah.
We are over the PRs.
For the one that we were just looking at, the on stem cell change PRs, I didn't look at the docs one yet, but I don't know. In the past, we've had some features that we mark as experimental because they are, often there's many features that like we've been using for years that are still experimental because we're really bad about taking them out of that state. But like,
Yeah.
I don't know, this feels like a large change, and that the behavior might change in upcoming versions because cert rotation is hard. I don't know if that's something we're concerned with as far as like marking it as experimental, or people are really going to care too much if we do have to change the behavior. We can do that in the release notes too. I don't know. I just don't know what we think of as a policy for that sort of thing. We don't really have one.
Or we don't document it yet, like all the other undocumented features that we have.
Right.
You're talking about the Azure Blob Store support, or
No, the on stem cell change for variable consumption stuff. Like, I just feel like the odds of us getting that correct on the first try seem very, very unlikely. Just because there are so many edge cases, and seeing I haven't touched it yet, but seeing people on our side like, oh, what if you have like multiple stem cells or the same stem cell twice in a manifest with different aliases or something, and having to deal with these edge cases. I don't know. I just don't know if we're going to end up having to tweak the behavior. And, you know, I don't think anybody's gonna be like, oh, I was so dependent upon that broken behavior you had the first time. I don't think it's a huge deal. It's more of a, this thing feels likely to be sort of in flux for the next couple months. And if we're how we want to handle features like that, you know, the Azure Blob Store change, that one's like, if there's any bugs with that, it's going to be just a fix. There's not going to be any future behavioral change. Whereas this one, we might have to tweak some of the like edge cases around how the expectations around it.
But like, I believe the behavior is described pretty well, right? Like, it's more of like we expect us to maybe not have implemented the behavior correctly, as in like maybe we're missing. Like, if you're talking about edge cases, then it's just bug fixes, right? To that, or do you expect the interface to change, as in like the config parameter, or like it going away altogether? Like,
I haven't looked at it too closely, but it's the type of thing where it's like, it would not, you know, it might be 100% fine. And it might be like, oh, here's some like really crazy edge cases we didn't think about. We need to change the interface to make it more clear how this type of thing is going to be handled.
I would just like put it as announce it as experimental, like put it in the release notes. I think release notes is enough, and then it's up to people to figure out if what they want for a risk profile with consuming or adopting these changes.
Maybe in the spec file as well, where you put that switch on.
But that we will forget. That's like my worry. Like, we keep having that thing in the spec file forever.
We should grep right now for experimental. See how many things are still flagged that way.
But in the docs, maybe we can just have a note in the docs. Should we? I feel it looks more professional.
I think in the release notes are maybe fine. Just saying like, this thing is new. There's maybe higher risk than normal features due to complexity. So if you're concerned, you might want to give it some time. But yeah, we're going to be using it in the very near future. So it's not like, you know, it's going to be 6 months and there's going to be massive changes with it. It's going to be in the next few cycles that you would see changes. So we'll try when creating the release notes for it to make that clear, I think.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. So I don't know. You keep this in mind. You don't have anything.
I will try. Yeah. Release notes are great. You can always change them after the fact.
Yes.
By the way, this is super dangerous. We did it wrong, and you should have noticed.
Yeah, he didn't respond. So
Yeah.
Okay, it's let's keep another week and we can close. No breaking change.
no, that's that's a PR for that. That's
Yeah.
fine, don't know that one.
26.
feel
This
it.
is about the path resolution. What was?
Isn't that where the PR is for? That we still that is yeah. This is also the PR that we are still.
Yes, the PR is already merged. I think we need now.
Did we do the
there-
stem cell builder changes?
No, the stem cell changes are not yet done. This
Because there was also something about OpenStack, right? Like they needed something like this as well.
Yeah, there was like 2 weeks ago when there was also someone complaining about OpenStack as well. I'm
the
not sure
OpenStack.
if it was related to this, but
So the OpenStack one is a little bit. So they are saying that the change we did regarding the ID length. Sorry.
yeah, with the length of the ID is different. So do you remember when I changed that when it was stuck on 10 characters or 20 characters?
20 characters. This.
Yeah. Didn't you say
no.
something like what's the worst that can happen? Something like that.
Yeah. So what?
This one, yeah. So it looks like on OpenStack you have a path which has only the first 20 characters of the ID, and now we have the full ID, and they cannot resolve anymore by ID.
Yeah, which seems to me like an issue within the OpenStack CPI. This was really weird. Like, why would we do 20 characters of an ID? Like, dude.
Yeah.
Now we
Can
know.
Nice. Yeah, I like the fact that we had a test and stuff. Documenting this behavior. But can we fix this with the regex stuff? Or is that it's only for the prefix, right? Not for the
Yes.
suffix? Oh.
New regex.
New regex. Oh.
I don't think that this will solve the issue.
I mean, with regex, you can select like a number of characters, right? Like you basically want to select the part you want to keep.
But you want to have the first 20 characters.
Yeah, you could do that by regex.
But our logic is removing the match.
Yeah. Yeah, but you can like do them. No, but you could still do that, like match and then keep the. But we are not keeping match groups probably. I don't know. Potentially could be done.
This is the implementation here.
Yeah, no, it probably needs something different.
So it's here actually. Replace all literal string. So it's a little bit small, but
But given that we're not using this yet in the stem cell builder, it might be worth making this more generic so that we can also remove things, right? So where we can use it for both cases.
It sounds really weird to me, like when you have like a disk ID and they only want 20 because the actual it's so
I mean, like if that's
like,
but if that's how OpenStack works, right? Like it makes sense to be able to configure that in the stem cell builder. We're building OpenStack stem cells there, right? So if it's OpenStack specific, if it's there, like we at least know why instead of having it in the agents.
Yeah.
Fine by me. So you want to adjust this?
Yeah, I don't know who want like ideally the change would be made by the people caring about OpenStack. Yeah, it's a bit of a tricky one. I think in theory we care about OpenStack, but I don't know if it has been reported. This, like, is our CI experiencing these issues?
I haven't seen it, although our CI doesn't do a lot of OpenStack testing. We do some.
So we test the CPI, right?
Yeah, we definitely test the CPI.
Does it add disks on?
Yeah,
Mount
this
disks
should.
on,
We at least deploy a director with a persistent disk that should have the same problem.
affected, yeah.
Yeah, interesting. I asked about some documentation or something which points about this behavior.
OpenStack is also a disaster as far as versioning goes. Like, I don't know, all of our OpenStack cluster is like, what is it? Queens? I forget what version. It's like a version that is not as ancient as our previous cluster, but still not even a currently supported like cluster, I think. But who knows? This behavior might only exist with like 8-year-old versions of OpenStack. Like, who knows?
Yeah.
The thing is, our OpenStack is like working-ish, so you don't want to touch it, right? Like that's the
Maybe Joseph, you can add a comment with which OpenStack version you don't see the issue and ask about OpenStack they use.
Yeah, I can add a comment there.
So you can at least figure out whether it's OpenStack version related. Okay, I think the other ones are quite old. So we had in the TUC meeting, we discussed RFC, which is actually for related to our user group to integrate PKIP release into Bosch. And we decided to start the final comment period for that one. So that means if you have any comments, it's now the time to go and put them here or feedback. Because next week, sorry for scrolling. Next week most probably will be approved. So the decision was to take the white version of the two proposals, only using SSH and TCP dump on the stems.
The last time I looked, I didn't have anything to add. So.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot have changed.
Okay, and another topic is the stem cell kernel bump.
So I had this. I asked Thomas, who did FIP stem cell, and I think he's working for Canonical. And he said, yeah, well, you're using the hardware-enabled kernels, and they will always be bumped at a certain interval level for LTS releases, so they can do a major bump. As Joseph said, I think Joseph said that like for Linux kernels, they don't really have major minor patch kind of thinking.
It was Kenneth, right, saying that?
Or Kenneth, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I looked at that, and they just go like, oh, now we go to just to 6. It's fine.
The number is too big, right? And
yeah.
Bump. Yeah.
What's the name of that versioning strategy anyway?
the Linus version strategy. So yeah, I looked at the release notes, but yeah, you never know with Linux because they can be like with the kernels, they can be like small changes, and that can totally mess up other stuff. That can also happen when we go from 5.19 to 5.20 or 519 point something.
And it
We've seen that in the past.
will be at least something that maybe some, I know at least the Kubo folks, the people doing Kubernetes with Bosch, I believe they compile some kernel modules or something, right? And those pods might change because of this.
Yeah, could be.
I believe they have had that in the past. So,
But then we
but I mean, like,
first
that's
need-
not something we can like. It will happen, right? We have no option. Like, we cannot, or we have to switch to a different kernel package. But like, if we want to keep getting security fixes, we need to bump. Just might want to notify these downstream consumers.
Have
we can also not go back, right? We can also not go to generics, because
No.
then we lose some functions probably for some VM types. And
So there's no option to stay with the older one. They're not going to keep patching both kernel versions, right?
not for the hardware enabled versions. They just
Sounds great. Makes our life simple, at least. There's
Yeah.
no choice. It might break stuff, but at least we don't have to pick which group of people we break.
Yeah, that's true. So we just agree that we just bump it. It's just
We
one
have to.
file in the stem cell builder, basically, because it's only like we built this in like a long time ago, where if the stem cell builder, if the kernel changes like a major version, then it would just fail.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, the tests fail. But that's
Yeah, it's
fine.
a
Like,
test.
it would be probably worth to call out in the release notes.
yeah, true. So that's definitely a thing that we should put in there.
Should we say something in the version?
Probably not. Like, we could- In the old world, they would probably cut a new line at this point, but it's not like we can maintain two lines. Like, we can't maintain the old lines. So like, I don't think we get any benefit from cutting a new line.
Yeah.
It just makes our world messy.
Then release notes.
Okay, we'll put it in the release notes, and we'll. Should I make a PR or should I just do direct?
You should make a PR.
Okay.
That's why we have branch protection, allegedly.
Allegedly.
On the way. Yeah, better with PR, because if we have, we can reference that one in the future if there are
Sure.
some.
Yeah, we'll put some information about it, but we have in the Slack channel.
Yeah, the stuff from Kenneth would be useful to
Yeah.
put in there.
Cool.
Okay, is there anything else?
About this or about anything?
Anything?
I had a question. Is there a current owner of the Postgres Bosch release? Is anybody maintaining that?
That's it.
Oh yes,
We had a discussion about that.
Oh, really?
yes.
Not in this, in a private DM, I think. So SAP is doing, they're not technically owning it, but there's people caring about it within SAP, and they have been creating
So-
PRs.
Yeah, we have a PR here. Let me find it. So maybe we can at reviewers. So they
Well,
asked to.
Why didn't that show up on the board?
Yes, I was.
Is this repo
Also
not
what-
owned by our group?
It should be. Oh, probably it shows up on a different tab because we have different areas and we don't look at the
Database, so-
Yes.
We never checked that one.
no, it's a long. There are too many.
Yes.
Sorry, my.
Oh, there it is, the last one. The manual
Yes, but
Postgres release.
I have the Zoom. Oh man.
Are we responsible for all these database repos?
In theory, yes. But I mean,
So
I don't know.
we should
Please-
have add an extra hour to these
I mean, there's authors in these areas, and they have their own reviewers and stuff in those areas, and they have their own process. It would be nice to standardize it, but I haven't figured out how to engage with these people. I believe the UAA folks have their own sync call now, so the areas are starting to have their own sync calls.
Yeah, I think so.
So this looks good. I guess my question, I was noticing this yesterday because our Concourse still uses this as the default database, and 11's got like 3 months left of support before it goes out, and that was the most recent thing. I was wondering if we want to add auto bumping to this. Like, I was planning, if this wasn't here, I was definitely planning on doing that work today or tomorrow, but I'm happy to still do it. Like I don't know, is there a CI for this? There's some pipelines in here that don't look like they're run. I'm happy to like update the CI and throw it on bosh.ci and add auto bumping to it, or at least add a PR to do all that. If people think that's valuable, if people want to keep doing the way it is, I'm also fine with that.
I think auto bumping would make the most sense at this point.
Yeah, like reviving CI would be really useful.
They
That
will-
would make these PRs in the future a lot easier.
Yeah.
And if people decide they want to do more on this on the SAP side, I think that's still being discussed. Having it on Foundation owned Concourse, I think would be really useful.
I can check if I can make some time, Joseph, for doing this. Or well, rather have a lot of other stuff on your plate. So.
We got a day off tomorrow. So and all my family's off doing stuff. So that was my plan. But
it's up to you if you want to do it.
Yeah, I'm happy. Yeah, it's an interesting thing. I mean, it's mostly copy paste. Like, I was going to take a lot of the auto. We already do all this. That's the other half of this, which is all of this is already done in the Bosch Director release, the auto bumping and of Postgres. Like, I don't know, like not anytime soon, but long term, do we want to think about trying to remove it from inside of the Director release and changing Bosch deployment to use this release instead and co-locate it? Like, I don't think they're compatible right now with the way they're doing stuff, but we could work towards a future where, you know, the Postgres release is the thing that we use by default in Bosch deployment rather than, and ultimately delete the Postgres job from inside of there. I don't know if that seems like a cleaner, better future. I don't know if we're ever going to get there, but like, this is one step that, you know, makes it theoretically a direction.
Yeah,
sounds good.
In an ideal world, you could also then have ops files in Bosch deployment for choosing the PXE release and doing MySQL instead. Like, that's not anything I want to do, but like somebody could at some point, you know, do that.
We have multiple of these like days off like in a year that like are company wide. I mean, you have to have a bit of a roadmap for those.
That's true.
Should I assign you as reviewer if you want to look into auto bumping or?
Yeah, I'll see today or tomorrow if I can come up with a PR for basically copying and pasting the stuff out of the Bosch Director CI. I'll be most optimistic and let people give feedback. Probably add auto releasing in there too that we're doing on a lot of stuff right now. I think we're probably going to be adding that to the Bosch Director soon. We're adding it to a lot of other things. Most of them are Golang things. We have scripts that are detecting in the Golang release right now if there's a CVE that's been a higher critical CVE that's been fixed, and if so, the pipelines just auto release with those as the release notes. Same if there's a bump to Golang itself, we just auto release with that in the release notes. So doesn't seem like most of these things have any. There's no good reason not to. It's like, hey, new version Postgres. Here's a new patch version.
That sounds reasonable.
Okay. there anything else?
Ruben, how is the SBOM things that you were going to do every repo?
It's in flight, as in there's now a new team within VMware that's tasked with coming up with a plan, because like that was most of the, like, I have ideas, but I don't have a lot of bandwidth to actually do some experimentation and figure out if it's even feasible. So we're gonna have some proof of concepts of some ideas, and then that's gonna fall into an RFC. But the way I'm thinking about this currently is that we're gonna build like smaller composable pieces that like we can, for example, run some. I mean, I have a slide. Wait, let me quickly make a slide that's applicable to the open source by removing some of the closed source bits. So now I have a slide. Yeah. So I don't know. The way we're thinking about this is that maybe we can have like different pieces of a chain that, so we could add something like a Go mod verifier that would run like is a reusable GitHub action that would, if a Go mod file changes, verifies that all the contents of a vendor directory are correct, right? And then it would generate an SBOM snippet. The idea here is that at some point we will want to add support for embedding SBOM snippets in BOSH packages. So that would be a BOSH CLI feature. And then the idea is, so we don't want everything to be owned by BOSH, right? So there's the trust aspect that will be out. You basically need a layer around your release, or multiple of these composable layers around your release creation process. And then BOSH is just gonna, like, if the BOSH create release happens in a trusted environment, then we can trust the contents that went into the release. So the SBOM snippets and everything are then gonna be okay, I guess. So it's done for Go mods. We can do a similar thing for Ruby bundles. There needs to be a similar process for when adding a blob, right? So that you can write an SBOM snippet and that it has fetched the blob in a secure environment and added it to a release, and then we can say, yes, this was done in that environment. So one of these blue boxes looks like something like this, where you can take in some dependencies, and for these dependencies, you want to be able to configure which combination of platform and version of this executable you trust, and those need to be verified. And then,
but this is already like way ahead, right? Like this, I thought we were first going to do like put SBOMs in there, like here you can at least can put it in there that you know which versions are there, and then we would do the whole.
I know, but like there's no value in adding SBOMs if you cannot trust them.
Okay.
Like that's the whole problem. Like, so how do you make sure that the SBOM actually represents what you're putting in a BOSH release? Like, how do you detect if if it's not all happening in one step, which I think is really hard to do with the way we're doing things. You basically have to regenerate the SBOM every time the Go mod file changes, and you have to detect if that happened. And the way to do that is by creating an attestation when you're creating the thing, so that you like say, this was the SHA-SUM of the Go mod file when I looked at this. And by the way, I executed all this in a trusted environment, so you can trust my attestation and it's signed. I know it's a bit complicated, but that's if you want to, like, this is not only about SBOMs, but it's also about like hardening our supply chain even more, right? We already are in a pretty good spot, but this is how you can improve that, and in the process also produce a good SBOM. But that's the bigger problem that I'm trying to solve. The SBOMs to me are not that valuable if we're just adding them, right? We want to come up with a standardized way to add them for the whole ecosystem, right? If everybody is just going to willy-nilly add SBOMs, then we have like really varying quality among the different components, and then we're not really getting any much value. I think, yeah, that's where I'm currently at, and that's why it's taking a bit of time, because this is all I don't know, like this is taking a lot of ideas from where Salsa wants to go with the way they're like implementing trust and the ideas around like verifying your inputs and stuff. But yeah, that it needs some proof of concepts before we can make any recommendations.
How important is the trusted platform aspect of this? Like, is it enough to just have metadata that we sort of have, you know, SHAs for? Like, hey, I'm adding a blob, and here's sort of the manifest of like, I got it from here, and the SHA was this stuff that you could then take and work backwards from to get back to like, oh yes, that is, and then we take, you know, the SHA of that and save that off as sort of, or the SBOM of that.
The platform is important because you want to make sure that it was not tampered with. So if it's like generated by a machine and this was done on a random concourse, then the concourse could be compromised, and this information cannot be trusted.
But if you have like, if part of the metadata we're saving in sort of the, you know, whatever we're putting in the BOSH release has sort of the chain of trust history, where it came from, like, I got this thing from this FTP site here, and this was the SHA I got for it. Like, that can be like double checked later, like, oh yes, that is the SHA of that thing, and that is a trustworthy source.
Yeah, so you can do the reproducible. So there's two ways you can go about this. So you can do it either fully reproducible, so then you don't have to do the trust thing. So you're gonna just reproduce it later and see that you're getting the same things. But that's hugely expensive if you want to solve that for everything. Because then basically you have to refetch all your Go modules, all your gems, and like do that like really downstream. So I'm like this. It doesn't. I think that's where the Salsa community started with like their ideas, like everything should be reproducible, and then it turned out that it's like not that practical. Also because I mean, like, it's expensive if you have to rebuild everything and refetch everything and verify everything. So doing that chain of trust concept is more, I don't know.
Yeah, like only taking this, I don't know, I feel like there's a middle ground where it's like, not like this is where we get everything from, go and get it again, but like, this thing's cached here, this is where we got it from. You can use these to reproducibly go fetch it again later and verify it. But like, I don't know, I guess the secure environment thing confuses me, because I'm like, I don't know, who says whether an environment is secure or not? Like, what is that piece? Like, I don't know, if I have a BOSH release, I want to be able to look, oh, here's a Postgres blob, and here's the manifest of where it says it got it from. I can go get that thing and validate it later. Like, yes, the SHAs match.
One piece of that trusted is that like zero trust, which means like the authors have no control over it. Like the authors, as in we cannot be trusted. So this should be like these builder steps. In GitHub Actions, you have like reusable workflows. So like someone can publish a workflow, and you can, as an author, you can just provide the inputs, as in configure where certain things are, but you cannot go in there and change the thing or change which version of the builder was used, right? So that's the idea. And to be able to execute those in, I mean, yeah, you need a platform that supports that type of abstraction.
I'll look at it at the end and see if it makes any sense.
Yes, that's why there's no RFC yet, because I mean, currently, I don't know if it makes sense yet. We need some proof that it actually makes sense. But thanks for listening to my TED talk.
Your time is over.
Yes, I know. And my food is getting cold, so I have to...
Oh.
I'm
Well,
Okay.
See you guys later.
Take
thanks.
care.
Bye.
See you. Bye bye.
See you.
Bye.
You, bye.